are you aware of something called the Gini coefficient,
Mm-hmm.
which is a measure of inequality? So it's a number between 0 and 1. So 0 is absolute equality. Everyone has exactly the same income and wealth. 1 is one person has all the money and wealth. So obviously the closer you are to 1, the more unequal you are. And in the 1970s, we were about 0.26. And that's sort of still roughly where some of the Scandinavian countries are. We're now up at 0.34. So there's been quite a big increase in inequality. But if you try and favour the rich, you've got to do it covertly. So, for example, I think this is from the Telegraph. It's the top 1% pay 30% of income tax.
Yes, I'm aware of this kind of stuff.
Yeah. So the basic thing is, we're paying enough, we're pulling our weight, don't ask us for any more. But there are two problems. It's sort of like the half-truth, because it's true as far as it goes, but it's what is not stated. First of all, is what proportion of the pre-tax income goes to that top 1%? What is the level of pre-tax inequality? And secondly, they're just talking about income tax, because the tax system is much broader than simply income tax. And what I know in various sort of assignments, try to look at the income tax and the tax system in a more critical way, my students. And one of the things is, and also look at a sort of reasonably high level. Don't get bogged down every single change in every single budget. But there's been a shift between taxes on income and taxes on expenditure. So you mentioned the very high rates of income tax throughout the 50s and 60s. Mm-hmm. They were tolerated because there was a lot of growth and people were getting more prosperous despite that. And it's also the collectivist ethos came out of, I think, the experience of World War II, the shared experience.
Yeah,
I think, and also the different sort of classes met, and there's some sort of understanding and empathy which has now got lost now that they are all sort of siloed. And so people there's a strong commitment to paying these very high rates of tax. But then what did Thatcher do? Mainly in the 80s, the top rate went from 83% down to 40% over a 10-year period. And one of the first things she did was increase VAT from 8% to 15%, and it's now gone up to 20%. Because these are figures from something like 15 years ago, but I don't think they've significantly changed. That if you divide the society into 10 income deciles, the bottom decile, when you take everything into account, pays an average rate of tax of 46%.
Whoa.
And all the other ones, it's broadly flat. It's somewhere between 30 and 34%. But why does the bottom decile pay so much? First of all, expenditure taxes. That if you think about it, despite the 0 rating for things like food and various other necessities, VAT is a regressive tax. Because the poorer people spend a much higher proportion of their income than wealthier people. Also, council tax. So all these other things, that if you look at the breakdown of that 46% and then look at the sort of breakdown of the 32% or whatever for high up, you'll see that it's a very different breakdown. They may pay much less in income tax, but they pay a lot more in various other taxes. So I think you've got to be very careful with that. And what we've seen is even during the pandemic, a huge transfer of wealth towards the 1% or even the 0.1%.
I think it's $8 trillion have gone from the bottom to the top over globally.
Yeah, but this is the thing. This is if you're going to do that, it's got to really be done covertly.
Yeah, I don't think it was.
well,
I mean, but the story you're describing here, where the bottom are paying a higher portion of tax of their income, is like, do you know the thing that springs to mind? And I don't even know if it's in the Bible or if it's like a parable or something, but it's the story where there's the poor woman who goes up to the like poor box or some sort of like donation box in the church and like gives her like last pennies. And then these wealthy people come along and they give like loads of money, but they still have loads left. And I think it's Jesus says, who's given more, who has contributed more? And this is the person who gave everything they had. And I hadn't planned to ask you about this, but it's just sprung into my head. I've seen a few proposals about the idea to kind of alleviate this problem by shifting towards primarily a land value tax across the board, and use that as almost the primary method of taxation rather than things like VAT or corporation tax or whatnot. Is that something that you think would help?
I suppose yes, it could help. I think one of the problems with taxes on property is that you can be doing it on unrealised. You can have these very rich people who buy these mansions, but you've also got, say, the people living in Islington, say, who bought their houses pretty cheaply and have just lived there 50 years, grown up there, and watched them shoot up in value. And you've got the pensioner asking the pensioner payment because it's unrealised. This is the problem when you're asking people to pay tax on a value which is unrealised and which you can't really realise.
Thanks for making it all the way to the end of the podcast. Don't forget our sponsor, ExpressVPN, and my book, Brexit, The Establishment Civil War, can both be found in the links in the description below. And also, please like, share, and subscribe to this podcast. It's the best way to help us grow. Until next time, thanks for listening. Screw the hedge funds.
You can make as many rules as you want, but if there's no teeth behind them, what's the point?
Well, like Citadel is potentially just gone in a few months. It feels like financial institutions, that they are all laughing at us by buying GME. Screw the hedge funds. Like, I will lose my entire investment if it brings them down.
Why on earth, last May, could you buy the entire company for $200 million?
What's been happening on Reddit and in social media and in the marketplace has never been seen before.
I argue that nothing is off the table. There is nothing off the table when dealing with the volumes of money in something as big as the United States stock market.
The hedge funds have clearly underestimated a group of people raised on Friday night World of Warcraft raids.
Dark pools, they're another mechanism to manipulate and cheat. Mainstream journalists don't say these things for a number of reasons. One is their sources are the people that I'm talking about, and so they can't call somebody a crook.
Superstonk and the other communities that have emerged are a hive mind, the likes of which we have never seen before. It's madness and brilliance, insanity and genius all rolled into one. It's very possible that Citadel will be gone in a few months. And not just Citadel, but the entire financial system has the potential to come crashing down. These crooks continue to gamble recklessly with the world economy, and this could be the moment that they finally get their justice.